Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Eileen, and for those of you who are joining me on YouTube, welcome to Medicine Walk. And for those of you who are listening in on Blog Talk Radio, Healing House Radio, welcome. And I hope that you are having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, night, and that you had a wonderful night, morning, afternoon, or day. So today is going to be a little bit of a continuation of the last week's discussion. And this is really about dealing with some of the nuts and bolts of getting into how it is to deal with conflict and how it is to deal with conflict in conversations. And it is, it really is kind of a tricky thing when you're in the conflict and you're trying to figure out ways to manage it, when it's a lot easier to start off with some agreements and then have those kind of on deck as you go into the conflict. So what am I talking about? Talking about things that are helpful when you're going to be having a discussion that may be kind of leaning towards, well, I call it either a healthy or enthusiastic exchange of ideas, or a flat out argument or a fight, or however you want to define it. One of the things is that you can make an agreement that you deal with one issue at a time. It's not that, well, I'm going to bring up this issue, and then to drive my point home, I'm going to bring up all these other things that are, that I feel are ammunition from my side of an argument. And that is a way, and it doesn't really help much when you start dogpiling stuff, because then the other person, who probably has just as much ammunition as you do, start sending out their little volleys. And the thing is, what you were originally talking about ends up getting lost. It ends up getting lost in old issues and other discussions. And also being very clear as to who did what to whom. Oh, fun fact, I used to be an English major. If you ever wonder what the difference between who and whom, the easiest way to remember it is, if you would substitute the term he or she, you would use who. And if you would use the terms either him or her, you use whom. So, little English point for you. And, you can tell other people, it makes you seem like so cool. Anyway, back to the original point. If you're angry about something that someone did, or, if someone's angry at me for something I did, okay, I can look at it. I can look at what my part of it is. I can say, okay, this is, how we can work this out. But either way, it becomes a thing of, oh, okay, well, I can take ownership of that. If I did something, whether I intended it or not, maybe I didn't intend it that way. But if it was taken that way, and it's like, all right, it's on me. And if somebody is angry at me because of the fact that what I did reminded them of what somebody else did that made them upset, that they never resolved with that person, and now suddenly I'm being held responsible for not only what I did, but what they did, nah, that doesn't work. You're kind of on your own on that one. It's tough enough being responsible for the stuff we do. It makes it even harder when we're being held responsible for the stuff we didn't do, or that we really had no control over, or that came into play long before we were even in the picture. So the idea is that if somebody is upset, make sure that you're actually the one that they're upset about. If they feel that you did something to them, make sure that you guys are on the same page as far as, okay, what exactly did I do? And why exactly is it upsetting to you? Which, why is it upsetting to you? May seem like a silly question, but actually it's a really good question. It has that person define exactly, so there's no guessing. One of the silliest things that, that I ever heard, and I think I mentioned it in the last episode, is that the idea of, well, if you don't know, I'm not going to tell you, or, well, you should know what you did. Obviously, I don't. Or obviously, I don't attach the same story to it as you do. So it's okay to ask somebody to clarify. It's like, okay, we're starting off with this issue. Obviously, there's a lot of energy around it, maybe on both sides. And when you're first starting off with something like that, and you, okay, so just so we both know what this argument is about, or just so we both know what this discussion is about, this is what I think it's about. Or if you have no idea what it's about, it's like, I have no idea what it's about. So could you please define why we're about to go into this space? Why is this, discussion going to go the way it's starting off? And it really is interesting to watch somebody stop. If you ask them, it's like, okay, I'm going to hear you out. And if I hurt you, it was not my intention. And can we both get on the same sheet of music about this? And actually have them think about, it's like, well, why are you upset? Well, then that means that they have to actually think, why am I upset? And maybe they respond with, it's like, well, I'm upset because you hurt me. It's like, okay, again, not my intention. How did I hurt you? How did this become something that was so upsetting to you? And because a lot of times when you really start to break it down, one, by breaking it down, it goes out of emotion a little bit. And it becomes, it's like, look, I honestly want to know, why are you hurting? And if I can fix it, I will. But the only way I can fix it is if you explain to me what it is that you're believing that I did. So if it turns out that, it's like, well, and, you did this and this other person did something like it, or it reminded me of this, or whatever, it's like, well, once I went through a scenario like this and I was hurt, and now, that's why I'm upset. It's like, well, then it's not all on me. It's not all on the person who was the trigger for it. They may have been a trigger, but they weren't the cause. And often when I'm working with people, they'll say, oh, well, all I did was pick up a box. And I'll remind them, that wasn't all you did. It was just the last thing you did. And then we kind of have to start going back and saying, okay, what did you do before that? What did you do before that? What did you do before that? So when somebody is dealing with a major hurt and somebody triggers it, and yeah, I mean, nobody wants to be triggered. Well, that's not totally true. There's some people who get kind of a weird rush off that level of anxiety, so they kind of look for something to provoke them, but that's a totally different thing. So that's a show for another day. But the idea that they were triggered, this old memory, this old hurt, this old issue that wasn't resolved back then is now coming forward. And maybe, if you have the time, if you have the patience, and if you have the skills, if the both of you have the skills, this could be an excellent opportunity to help that person to kind of move past it, to resolve it, to say, oh, okay, you're upset about what they did. And so part of this is about what they did. So can we devote a little bit of this time to what they did, to see how it impacted you? Because if they didn't do it, then what I did probably wouldn't have been that big a deal. So the idea that, when we kind of stack issues on top of each other, and especially when they go unresolved, when the person at the time, when somebody does something and the person experiencing it says, as well, I wish I had said this at that time. I mean, because we all do it. It's like, you know, for maybe a day or so afterwards when somebody does something, it's like, you know, and we can think of all the most clever and cool things to say. And it's like, wow, it would have really put them in their place if I had said this. And I wish I had said that to them. But sometimes we say nothing, and sometimes we continue to say nothing. And so that little bit of hurt all of a sudden sees an opportunity, and that part of you that says, wow, I wish I had really told them off then. Oh, here's somebody I can tell off now. Even though they're not totally responsible for the level of energy you have around it. But they're here and they did something. And it's not healthy either being on the transmitting end of that or the receiving end of it. Because then it just creates another situation where maybe the person on the receiving end walks away and goes, you know, I really wish I had told them off. I should have said this. I should have said that, which means the next time they're triggered, they're going to transmit it. And it's going to be that unload at somebody else who may or may not have done anything that significant. So if something happens, be really clear on whether or not this is about that person, what they did. And even if it's that person and it's something that's been going on for a while, if they were never told that that was a problem, then to wait until it's like up to here and, oh, by the way, you always do this or you never do this. And they're kind of like, wait a minute, this never bothered you. Well, it did, but you didn't say anything. You didn't tell them that it bothered them or that it bothered you. So, you know, it really isn't fair to, you know, have somebody else carry the burden of another person's actions, especially when part of the responsibility lies in the person who is affected stepping up and saying, hey, that was not okay. That was not cool. And I'm going to express myself about it. And it's helpful when you're talking with somebody who has the tools in their toolkit to go, okay, at this point, it's no longer directly about me. I can move forward. I can see what it is that is going on. Oh, hold on a second. Something weird just happened with the radio. Okay. Hold on, YouTube. The radio part just kind of kicked out on me. So I just need to. Okay. Well, I may or may not have lost Blog Talk Radio, so I'm hoping that I didn't. I'm hoping that it's actually still going. Technology is still a little elusive to me, so I will go on the theory that maybe it's still going, maybe it's not. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, then I apologize. It's just that the screen did something weird. Okay. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Being able to be honest enough that if something bothers you, now, if in the moment it bothers you so much that, you know, you may make poor choices in how you present it, if you can't present it in a reasonable, calm way, then yeah, maybe you take a few moments and go, all right, let's take a time out and, you know, we'll come back and talk about it like we talked about last week. And it's important. It's a responsibility of the person experiencing the emotion to say something, because the other person may not understand, may not be aware of the level that that person is working. So as far as our tools, you know, it's being able to identify that a conversation needs to be had, making it very, very clear as to exactly what the argument is. Make sure that both people in the discussion know exactly why the discussion is taking place. And also to say, all right, if you can't If you can't talk about it right now, we can agree to talk about it later. Because the whole thing is about not taking it personally. And it's very, very difficult to not take something personally when you are either defending, feeling like you have to defend yourself, or if somebody is like throwing an accusation at you that you in your heart do not believe at all that it's true. That can be tough. That can be really, really hard. So the idea is that if you can be able to take a breath and to go, okay, I'm not in a space where I can talk about this, but I will be. I can. And when you are able to say, all right, exactly why are you mad? Exactly what is it that you're feeling? What is it you're experiencing? So it's up to the person who needs to express themselves to express themselves. It's up to that person to say, okay, you don't have the right to just dump on me. And now YouTube is acting strange. Okay, we got that. All right. There are some times when technology, I wish I could actually have an argument with my computer sometimes, because, and there isn't those times that I don't have an argument with my computer. I'll sit there and I'll look at it and I'll go, what do you want from me? Why are you doing what you're doing? Where is my document? What have you done with it? I know you have it in there somewhere and you did this on purpose. I'm a person who likes to humanize things a lot. I humanize my car. I humanize, I talk to it. It's like, oh, come on, you can make it to the gas station. Come on. My computers, as far as I'm concerned, elves make them work. And I'm very happy with that. And I'm learning more and more about how to work with it. But yeah, I can't have an argument with the computer. I can't let the computer know, well, this is why I'm irritated at you, because, you keep freezing on me, or you keep doing this, or you keep changing the screen. A computer, ultimately, I know that the computer is going to do exactly what I asked it to do. Or if left to its own devices, it will do what it's programmed to do. People are like that and not like that. People are going to go with a certain programming, which is true. I mean, we all have that programming that we grew up with, how we respond, maybe how we saw the adults around us respond to conflict. And I consider, suddenly my screen freezing or my document disappearing, or I know I saved it, but I don't know where the heck to find it. Those things that, I'm going to address with my computer, I know consciously that the computer is just doing what it was programmed to do. And it's basically doing what I told it to do. With people, I know that I have to deal with their programming. Even if I don't know what their programming is, I can get a good idea by how they respond when they don't take time to really consider stuff. When people act on reflex, that usually has to do with their programming. And so when you're trying to use tools to be able to have a dialogue, when you're bumping heads, it goes to the place of, oh, okay, I have to figure out what their programming is. How are they programmed to respond to me? Some people just will, by reflex, go, all right, I'm gonna go in guns blazing, and I'm gonna dump everything I can on this person to make them feel like they could be wrong and I could be right, because I really need to feel like I'm right. So yeah, being able to work around somebody else's programming. And because the thing is, unlike a computer, I can just hit reset and the computer really doesn't care. It's going to return to, that neutral state. And yes, there are times when I think it would be very nice if we had reset buttons where, you know, you're just, really frazzled about something or really irritated about something. And if we had like a little boop, we push the tip of our nose and we go back to our last reasonable state before any stuff happened. And it's like, wow, if we could do that, if we could just, unplug and plug back in, and then everything is reset. But unfortunately, that's not how it goes. That's not how it works. And we remember things. And sometimes we remember stuff even that somebody else did. And it comes into that current discussion. It comes into that current thing. So, kind of roundabout, what I really want to get across is that there are ways to actually have this go into a very good direction, that growth can come from it, empowerment can come from it, a closer relationship can come from it. Just try to add a few tools to your toolkit. The tool of clearly defining exactly why each person is feeling what they're feeling. The tool of really listening to someone who says, hey, I didn't mean to hurt you, but I can see that my actions did. I'd like to know why. To be able to step back and step out of the story and realize it's not about what that person did. It's about what was done before that was left unresolved and is moving forward. And it may be necessary to let somebody know. It's like, look, I had nothing to do with that. And I know that this has triggered you to think of that, but I had nothing to do with that. So either you can, take it to the source and maybe go back and deal with them about that, because this could be a good sign that, oh, you've got some unfinished business with this person. Or if that's not possible, to be able to say, okay, can we stick to what this situation is? That agreement to only pick one thing at a time to be focused on is very, very helpful. So I hope that these kind of tools and concepts are something that can be very helpful to you, because I know that they're helpful to me. The stuff I talk about is stuff that I use because I learned that it is really, really helpful to be able to, have a way of getting out of my head, getting out of my emotions, and looking at a bigger picture of, okay, what is really going on here? What is really going on inside of me? What is triggering me right now? Is it what they did, or is it something else, that a memory of vulnerability, of unfinished business came forward and they just happened to match the frequency of it? So I hope it helps. And I was very excited. We passed 2,150 views, and I think that's very cool. And I've been at this for like just under a year and a half, and it's really, I'm having a lot of fun with this, and I'm gonna keep doing it. And for the 45 subscribers we have, yay! Thank you. And I hope that what I say helps. I hope that what I offer matters. If you want to hear more from me, or want to hear like little things that, kind of come up for me, and little ideas that I get, you can look me up on Twitter, which is in the links or in the description. And if you follow me, then you'll get a thought of the day that I come up with every morning. And you can also go to Facebook, and you can join our group, Medicine Walk with Dr. Eileen, on Facebook. And so the thoughts of the day get posted there. And they also, will be available to on my regular Facebook page. So thank you. I hope that your conflicts are small, and I hope the big ones are something that leads you to something very, very cool, something that allows you both to grow as people and maybe be able to release some of the old stuff. And if you appreciate this, I would really appreciate, and it would really be helpful if you would like or comment, if you would subscribe. And if you feel that maybe this would resonate with somebody, please please share it. And you can take a look at some of my other videos. So if there is a topic that you would like me to cover, then please post it in the comments. And I do look at the comments, and I just want to see this community grow and mutually support and just figure stuff out together, because we're all in this together. Anyway, thank you for joining me. And like always, I wish you balance and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. Love you. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.